listeners, welcome. Faithful listeners, welcome back to Take Flight Podcast, episode number 12.
Nah, it's not 12, bro.
It's
13.
13, bro. We mess this up every damn week. 13.
We're not even on triple digits yet, and you're already forgetting the numbers. Like, come on.
Oh, I'm sorry. But anyway, welcome back to episode number 13. You have myself, Daniel, Olu, Shawel, and Pabilo. And on today's episode, we're going to talk to you about some shared traveling tips. And we're also going to have a book recommendation by myself. So, hold flight, let's take flight, and enjoy the episode.
Take off, take flight with you. For we never fly, but we're flying.
Okay, so, guys, let's discuss. A lot of people are asking about traveling tips, and because the four of us combined, we have done a lot of traveling between us, shared trips, individual trips. And I thought it'd be good to share some of tips that we adopt or we've kind of incorporated when we travel, when we fly to new destinations, same destinations, how we book hotels, how we pay for flights, and just some general.
I want to know how you fly first class everywhere, Daniel. That's what I want to know.
Like, teach us, Daniel.
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
This is a myth. Who told you that I fly first class all the time?
But I've seen it first time. Bro, I've traveled
you showed us.
everywhere. I've seen it. Anyway.
A quick question from my side to kick it off, yeah? Do you guys still try to wear your best clothes to the airport?
No.
Nope.
Nah, not anymore.
I'm comfy.
But growing up, that was definitely something that we all did. Like me and my brothers, because we'd only go on holiday, say, once a year.
You guys dress up in your like Sunday church outfit
Bro,
to go on that flight.
I literally would buy the best clothes just to go to the airport.
You know what's hilarious about this question is, so next week I'm going Bangladesh, and my mum calls me and she's like, all right, cool, so what are you packing? I was like, yeah, I'm just going to pack this, t-shirts, well, it's quite hot. She was like, all right, cool, what are you going to wear when we're on the flight to Bangladesh? And I was like, I'm going to wear my tracksuit. What? And she's like, why are you wearing a track? You're going to wear that red one?
Is it like Supreme? Is it Supreme?
Or
what
like,
is it?
Yeah, of course. And she's like, no. You got to wear a shirt and tie.
Trust me, I'm telling you. What? I'm telling you.
No way, that's like an 8-9 hour flight. No way, never.
You guys are acting as if you're going for a job interview.
Remember the academics tracksuits?
Yeah.
We were trying to go all out for the airport, baby.
And I wear tracksuits because I think most of my flights are long haul, so I think about the comfortability.
Oh, 100%.
So yeah. I don't try and restrict myself. P, you remember we went to Dubai? You put shorts on and slippers.
Shorts, slippers, no tracksuit on the way there, and then when I got onto the plane, I changed into shorts and literally just kicked back.
Has to be done.
I think comfort is number one when flying. That goes over anything. But okay, if we start, talking about destinations, how do we decide on where we want to go? If it's not a business trip, which of course is going to be decided or is going to constrict where we travel, how would you decide where to go as a holiday travel destination? Olu, over to you.
For me, it really works two ways. I either decide based on a location that I know someone that lives there. So because I was traveling quite a lot for the last 6 years, so sometimes a friend will hit me up and be like, oh, I'm going to be in so-and-so place, so I'll travel to the States. And it's somewhere that you're going to stay with someone. Sometimes you save a lot of money due to the fact that you don't have to worry about accommodation because you're crashing at your friend's place. Yeah. Or I do it based on somewhere that I haven't been, part of my bucket list. So a country or city that I haven't been to that I've always wanted to. And when an offer comes up, just book it.
Cool.
What do you mean offer? So you obviously have something, a string of emails that you get every day?
Yeah. Not every day. I wouldn't say every day, but I sign up to a few airlines.
Travel broker. Always a travel broker. every day is getting email strings.
But yeah, What about you, P? How do you decide?
Depends how I want to flex. You know what I'm saying?
But you're not lying.
No, I think I'd say social media has a big influence because a lot of us scroll through and see certain images, certain videos, and you say, "Wow, what's the look of this place, or where's this location?" So I think that has certainly played a part over the last few years. Recommendations is a big one. But I echo what you say because I like the combination of. I mean, I really love going back to the same place twice. because it's nice when you seriously, even 3 times, especially in places like Europe, because when you go there for the first time, I like to feel like a local around the world, as opposed to necessarily feeling like a tourist. So it's nice to have both experiences. But sometimes the places I want to go to, say we've been Thailand, let's go again. We know it. I want to go. I want to go. Exactly.
There now.
I want to go back to that.
I know you
want to go.
Daniel, for sure.
I want to.
So I want to go back to the same restaurant. I want to meet the same person. I want to catch up with the same people. I want to go back to the same beach. So that definitely has also been a deciding factor over the last few years.
Yeah, I think for me, I always was just on a hype to go to the newest thing. I didn't want to go to the same place again. But now after getting a bit older, you realize that you go to a new place, you don't get that same level of enjoyment, and maybe there's not as many things there that you actually want to do. So going to Peace Point, then you start recycling through the list again. But for me, actually, I used to depend on which new place. At the beginning of the year, when I set my goals, I used to also have a travel line where I select certain big countries I wanted to go to, like when we went to Hong Kong that year, for example, or Vegas, or areas in Asia or around the world. And then the other one is if I have a friend that's just recently moved to that city, even if I've already been, it's great to go through that experience with them where they've just moved and they already know the friends, the places to go. So that's another way that I do it.
Oh, cool. I would.
So Daniel, you're not a fan of going to the same place twice?
No. I am. It depends on where it is. For example, like we said, Thailand, I would go there in a flash. Yeah, okay. I would go there back. I'll go back there. But I usually base mine on recommendations from like you guys or colleagues at work, or if I see things on Instagram that I think, oh, that looks nice, and of course the pictures can lie, but sometimes you just scroll through this or you search a destination and you just look at the types of places they portray and you think, oh, I wouldn't mind going there. But also I have a bucket list of countries that I would like to go to, so that does play a part in it. And often at times it's also the reputation for its culture or the food.
Yeah.
Or things that you can do out there. So it just kind of inspires me to think, I want to experience that for myself. Yeah, it's good someone's written a blog about it, but I never feel that the experience is fully met unless you've been there for yourself. And another thing, sometimes you do get cheap deals. And if you stay tuned right till the end of this episode, I will share with you a major key. Trust me, you don't want to.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
You don't want to miss it. But yeah, that's how I would usually decide where to go. But also, as Ollie said, if friends are staying there, I would use that as a big excuse to travel. I think on Ollie, out of how many rotations did you do? Was it 4?
Yeah, during my undergrad, I was in 4 locations.
Yeah, and I visited you on 3 of them. I think it was only the US. I saw you in the US as well.
You saw me in all the locations.
Oh yeah, I saw you in all your rotations.
You was like Paris.
Oh, time out. Daniel, you went to US. Where was I?
No, not US. Before I did my corporate audit. Before I did the corporate audit, it was Paris. He came there.
Yeah, we went to Paris together.
Sweden. You didn't come. You didn't come to Sweden.
Sweden I missed.
Sweden came, and then Dubai.
Yeah.
Dubai we were there together.
Yeah.
Now, what about the US, Daniel?
It was September. We met up. Ollie and I met up.
Yeah, in New York.
Ollie and I met up. Oh,
New York. You weren't around. You were around.
Nice. Nice to know. Nice.
Anytime.
November. Which year in November?
September.
He's gonna open up his calendar and be like, wait, what was I doing?
Sure. Hey, sure. Hey, let's make something happen.
P, don't worry. I was
already sending you just the flight confirmation of what I just booked now. So.
Cool.
I'll share the memories with you. I'll tag you in it.
Nice.
Okay. Actually, no. When Shaw said that, send the flight details. It reminded me of that Hong Kong trip. Anyway.
Ooh, tell them. Nah, Daniel, you gotta tell them. So I want to share. I want to share a real nice story with our listeners. So this you can actually translate into a tip, which is basically when it comes to traveling, just say yes.
All money
in. No money out. Don't ask any questions. Just yes. Just say yes. So it was, I think, the end of 2015.
September. Yeah.
September. And myself, Shaw, and Daniel were discussing about where should we try to arrange to go and to visit. We look at Southeast Asia. Should we look at the US? And I think at one point it got to a point where it was clear that myself and Shaw had time, and we said, okay, we think we're going to go down to Asia. And then Daniel says, I'm not sure.
I was to be in a wedding in South Africa.
Exactly. So you like it wasn't looking too promising. It's on your side. Daniel said, but just keep me updated. If just keep me updated, guys, and send me your flight details. You know, just whenever you guys decide on where you're gonna go. So by this point, I'm thinking, yo, sure, it's just me and you. Let's start planning. Let's start breaking down activities. So I send Daniel the flight details, say weeks after. I get a call. Is it straight after or maybe
It was the next day?
the next day? He calls me up
At work.
and he says, P, it's done.
I locked off the phone.
And he came off the phone. I said, what? What? What's going on? He said, P, it's done.
And at this point, P said, no. He's confused. He's like, no. What do you mean? So he went into a meeting room at work, and he said, I'm going to trash this place. If you don't know P, when he gets excited, he gets real excited.
If you've booked the same travel legs, like, because it was quite a few flights. It was like, where did we go? We went to
Shanghai.
We went to
Hong Kong.
Then
Hong Kong to Thailand. Thailand to Hong Kong.
Yeah,
Hong
in
Kong to
total, I
Shanghai.
think
It wasn't-
And Macau.
exactly. It wasn't just like one flight, like a return flight. It was like multiple trips. And Daniel says,
over 2 weeks, it was like 6 or 7 flights. And you shared all of them to him, right?
he said, P, it's done. I said, Daniel, what are you talking about?
Because you thought I was gonna make just part of it.
He says, I'm on every single flight you guys are on. I said, oh my God. So I think personally, if one of our best tips from this podcast would be, when there's an opportunity to travel, just go. Because to date, that was one of our best trips. As a group, as individuals, it was fantastic. It was amazing.
Yeah. And I think with that story also, P, I think one great thing you guys did is you didn't wait for Daniel being indecisive. I think at the beginning stage, because what happens a lot of times when people say, oh, I'm not sure, I need to confirm something, people always say, oh, let me think about this. You guys were like, you know what? You sort yourself out. We'll book this. If you can come. If you can't, we'll show you some pictures afterwards, and you feel like, because I felt like I missed out. I'm not gonna lie, I was hating on you guys because you guys sent it to me. I don't know where I was. I couldn't make it, and I saw you guys stunting, and you guys kept sending pictures in the group chat. I wanted to mute that group chat because I was fuming. All the pictures. I was just like, damn, I missed out. And when you guys got to see the pilot as well, when you went to the cockpit, I was like, wait, how the hell these guys get to the?
That's a Daniel Johnson.
What sort of VIP experience is this?
You travel with Daniel, all those doors start opening up. You can see a lot of things.
So, but because a lot of the listeners are thinking, oh, these guys have got crazy amount of money, are balling, spending crazy amount on flights. I think before we go, because we're going to go into quite a lot of tips, why don't we talk about the cheapest flight we've ever... It's called what? It's called credit. Why don't we talk about the cheapest flight that we've taken?
Racking up that credit card now.
Why don't we talk about the cheapest flight that we've taken that's also been a great experience? Yeah? So that people know that it's not all about just having a large amount of money to do it, but you can also travel on a budget and still have a great experience.
Yeah.
So the cheapest flight... Go ahead. The cheapest flight I've taken was $9.99.
Are you going to work and back? Were you going to work and back?
It was a return flight. It was Basel to London.
Ryanair.
$9.99. That's a solid deal, mate.
Even
if I don't use it, just to have the option.
You got to fly on a Tuesday, come back on a Thursday.
What time? 5 a.m.
It was like it wasn't the afternoon. It wasn't too bad actually, but those flights don't exist anymore. So
mine was probably return trip, £50, and that was to Athens, Greece. So it cost me £50 EasyJet return flight.
Mine was BA. It was hotel and flights to Austria, Vienna.
I don't want to this.
July, and I think it was about one. It was from Saturday to Tuesday. It was the 20th to 24th of July. I remember that, and I think it was about $130 per person for the whole stay, flights and hotel. Wow. And the hotel was top notch. And I tell you, it's one of my best European trips ever. Yeah. I went with a good friend of mine, Jeffrey, and we went on the river.
Big up Jeffrey.
On the boat. We went on the river for about 4 hours in this complete heat. I got darker than dark, and I'm telling you, it was a very good time, because if I show you the hotel, it was like a bar hotel, so the reception was a bar.
So there was alcohol there. Is that what you're saying? Because
Daniel, I think
The funny thing is, that's where my love for making cocktails started.
Mm.
That's where the love started for cocktails. Because when I got back, I went to Tesco and just bought syrups, alcohol, mix everything.
What's the longest you've gone without having cocktails?
Sorry?
What's the longest you've gone without having cocktails?
You mentioned this in the last
Every episode he mentions cocktails.
No, wait. In all seriousness, Daniel, I think you're a great person to share on, let's say, how you finance your trips, because you built up the points and go ahead.
Okay, so in terms of like how I pay for flights, I do a mixture. So I deliberately, I think it was 2013 or 14, I got a Virgin Atlantic credit card. And that sole purpose was building up credit. I'm not going to say it was to build up credit because that was not my intention. My intention was to, everyday expenses, choose my credit card to get one air mile. So with everything I spent throughout the month, I thought, okay, I'll use my credit card for these costs. Any direct debits I'll change to make manual payments. And at the end of the month, just clear off the credit card. And that's
a key thing, clearing off the credit card at the end of the month. Let's just make that clear. It's not free money. Don't just start splashing on it. Yeah. Clear it off at the end of the month.
So,
look at Shaw's face. Look at Shaw's face. No, I think, for me, the primary.
That's how it started. So I built up.
Oh, sorry.
I accumulated the air miles, and I think within the first year, that 1 mile didn't equate to one pound didn't equate to 1 mile, because if I tell you how much miles I got, you're gonna think I just spent. Yeah. So I think within the first year, I got 80-something thousand miles.
You spent 80K in the first year. Okay.
That's how I say that. So with that,
all money in, no money out. Seriously.
So with that, I was able to build up my Virgin Atlantic status, my tier, get into silver gold membership, and then using my miles to redeem flights. So I think at one point I went to Atlanta on Virgin for about £220 return. I've been to other places like Nigeria for about £200, and usually these flights are around £600-700 return. Sometimes I use them to upgrade in class in the cabin. So to change my status, and also with BA. So I used to take Virgin for predominantly long haul flights and BA for European trips, so that I built up Avios points as well. So even when I go to Europe, sometimes I'll use maybe a few thousand Avios points and pay £20 return in business class. So that's helped me fund trips. Also, at times I do pay for full flight tickets to continue my accumulation of points, or even fly on budget airlines like Ryanair, EasyJet. I don't really mind. I'm agnostic to those as long as it's not going to be too much of a long flight.
So Daniel, do you say loyalty is key in terms of when it comes to it, or?
It helps. I would say a few airlines that you stay loyal to, and even if you fly on an airline just once, just open up an account with them. Like I've flown Emirates, I think 2 or 3 times. Very good airline. I don't fly with them frequently, but I've got points with them as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. Sorry, go.
Go on, sure. No, I was gonna crack a joke. Yeah, that sure. Loyalty is key. So you can't be out in these streets. Can't be out in these streets.
I'm watching you guys to the day I know. No, I think what's interesting to hear is for Daniel in terms, because I've seen how Daniel does it, and we've travelled together, and I've seen how the point accumulation has been great. I took a very different approach when I started travelling a little bit more back in 2012. I was just taking the approach of just booking the cheapest flight wherever I go, any airline, zero loyalty, and then
10 hour layover.
Huh?
10 hour layover.
Yeah. And then, no, honestly, there's some deep layovers I did as well. But I think for me, I thought if I book consistently with one airline, I felt at that time that I would be paying more over the long run, even with the points. And if I get a cheaper flight later on, then if I was to get the cheapest airline every time, that just worked for me best in terms of timing. And I think for me, I was using Skyscanner as like a great resource, which I love using. But But then now, actually, the older that I've got, I'm more leaning towards how Daniel's doing it. So now I'm like with EasyJet, I have EasyJet Plus, which makes life a lot easier. With BA, I'm also part of their flight club now as well. And actually, over the long run, building up points, especially if you're traveling a lot, it does genuinely help, and you get a lot better service as well. I think these airlines tend to treat you better,
especially when you got status.
For sure, and they send you promotional offers and these types of things. So before I would use a lot of Skyscanner, now it's directly with the airline from my side.
I'll say research the different methods of even accumulating miles, because even with Virgin and BA, shopping in Tesco, club card points, you can convert them automatically into Avios or Virgin Atlantic miles. And I started doing that from 18. So even at university, shopping in Tesco, and I'll go shopping for like a flatmate or a friend. I'll be like, have you got a club card? They're like, no. I said, okay, can I take your points? And I just swipe my club card on it.
Exactly. No, exactly. It's so true. I remember my first first class flight was based on an upgrade. When I was going from London to California. And I'm gonna tell you, when I got to that desk, because I was platinum at that time, because I used to travel quite a lot for work, so I'd use the same Delta airline. And they said, "Oh, Mr. Okaneda, we'd like to give you an upgrade to first class." I was like, "Really? Okay."
I can imagine acting all brand new.
You don't know how much I was studying when I was getting on that plane, because you know when you go on that plane, you got the first class people, and then when you see like economy people just walk past you. You feel kind of way like, oh, these people are like different sort of money.
I would have stood in the middle of the economy, wait till everyone sits down, and then walk to my first class. Just walk past.
I'm telling you, when I'm telling you,
that shows that you're new to it. That shows.
Nah, I don't care. I don't care. I don't normally drink on flights. Yeah, I don't normally drink on flights. Yeah,
and I'm gonna take the piss when I'm in first class. Yo, can I get my warm nuts and apple juice, please?
The crazy thing about it,
the warm-ups are good. The warm-ups are nice.
The crazy thing about it, I don't even drink on planes, but the woman comes up to me and she was like, "Would you like some champagne, please, sir?" I said, "Yes, please." yes, please. I'll tell you, it was one of, but
I think I've done the same still.
But there was few experiences where I was like, "Yo, people need to chill." Like the woman next to me was like, "Your mom would be so proud of you." I was like, yes, that's what she said on that flight. Yeah. I was like, what are you trying to say? You trying to act as if I don't belong here? Assumption. But it was my best experience, but also my worst experience, because I was sitting next to like some old lady who was very old, reminded me of like my grandma and everything. But she was like backing down the gin and tonics, like just bang, bang, gin and tonics. Yeah. And then
she got a bit nervous.
Maybe she was nervous, but it got to a point where I was helping her with a in-flight entertainment, so she had her headphones on, and I'm sitting there chilling, and she turns around to me and shouts, because she's obviously got her headphones on. "So, what do you think about racism in America? Do you think it's ever gonna end?" God. Everyone on the plane turned around and looked at me, because she shouted on the plane, and everyone was waiting for my answer. Like, "So, what are you gonna say?" It was peak, but it was a great experience.
Took another swig of that champagne. Mate, if she was drinking all of that gin tonic and getting at you during that flight, she probably wanted some of your juice on you.
She wanted some of that.
No. She was drinking those G&Ts, looking at Ollie the whole time, thinking, yeah, all right, cool.
No. But it's just a great thing, like you.
Yeah, speaking of being in first class and business class for the first time, I prefer to be on economy, because when I had my first experience in business class, I was acting too brand new. I couldn't stop fidgeting, and I was looking around at everyone, Look, what's everyone doing?
Whose business?
Like, I'm not supposed to be here.
Maybe they knew you weren't supposed to be there because you took out your phone or camera and started recording yourself in first class.
Kicking off. Listen, kept on pressing all the buttons. Yeah,
you're like, what does this do? What does this do? No, so you mentioned Skyscanner. Do you guys use any other search engines, or how do you guys find flights?
Yeah, stay tuned to the end of the episode. I'm going to share with you a major.
Okay, we got major keys.
So three key sources for me is, I think for us as well, Skyscanner for flights, Booking.com. I don't really use Airbnb too much, actually. I'm not too sure why.
Yeesh, you need to get onto it.
And then TripAdvisor for recommendations of restaurants and activities. But I think most people use that, actually, to be honest. So I'd probably use, if anyone's got any other better recommendation for sources, just plug it in the comments, please.
I think the majority of us use Skyscanner. I was never really an adopter of Skyscanner, but I think Cheryl made me become one. And then sometimes I go directly to the airline to see what they can offer, and also maybe using miles to upgrade. So mostly Skyscanner. So yeah.
Yeah, I use the same. Sometimes I find going directly to the airline is a little bit more expensive, but I like it if it's with the airline that I'm using because, like you mentioned, Daniel, you can get free upgrades if you go directly through them. But most of the time, it's Skyscanner for me.
Sorry, Daniel, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, question: how far in advance do you book flights, and do you impulse book?
So I'm more of an impulse when I shouldn't be actually, but.
Yeah,
it's because ideally they say, look, try and book it. If you do 6 months in advance or a year in advance, then you really get good rates. But the reality of it is that when you've got a lot more going on, unless you've got an admin booking stuff for you, you end up booking it, I don't know, a month before, a few weeks before, and the price is what it is. So,
they say the best time to book it is between 6 to 8 weeks before.
Actually,
because they say that if you book it too early, you're basically getting the prime. Because what happens when the airline, they release the flight and the dates and everything like that. So there's like prime, quite expensive prices. But then as soon as they get closer to it, so between 6 to 8 weeks when it's not full, they'll start to reduce the price again. But then when it gets to close to full capacity, then the price will spiral out of control. So most people say between 6 to 8 weeks is the best time to book.
Okay, cool. So Shuo, 6 to 8 weeks. Okay, cool. Got that one. Shuo, why don't you share the days that people are where we should actually book our flights? I think it's
Tuesday.
like a Tuesday.
It's a Tuesday.
Thursday.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think the cheapest one is a Tuesday because people tend to book their trips over the weekend when they're not at work, etc., or sometimes in the evenings. And actually, the best time of the week to get the best deals is, I think, Tuesday afternoon or even Tuesday very early in the morning, because most people aren't booking. And these airlines are very smart. I think they have algorithms where the price starts to go up with the more people that are looking at the website.
Yeah.
And another thing actually that I found out is the airlines are very smart with your cookies as well. So if you're, if you're a young professional like us, and you go onto your laptop and you go to book a flight, they'll look at your cookies and see the other websites that you're on, and they can typically figure out very quickly that your demographic is a young professional, probably living abroad or living in London, and they'll charge you a higher price then. If my younger brother, who's a student, if he was sat next to me and he went on his phone, I went on the same website and looked at the prices, there's actually a difference 9 times out of 10. So that's also something to be careful of.
So your tip there is clear your cookies, yeah? Clear your cookies, yeah?
Clear
clear that history. The other thing, just to add on that as well, and I was told by someone at work, she said not to check the prices too often. So let's say, for example, you want to book to fly somewhere.
Oh man, I've been bitten by that so many times.
If you're checking once, the best thing is to try and book when you check for the first time, because if you keep going back to it, the prices do go up.
Yeah,
because it looks like the algorithm so that I think people are looking to book, and then demand goes up, so higher demand, higher price.
Yeah, and then also, have you guys tried? This is one I heard. Try looking to purchase in a different currency.
Yeah.
So that's a different country. Yes, different country or different currency.
Yeah. It's wild. I
even
tried to
like
Russia once.
Even like when I go to Nigeria,
I'm not booking rupees. So what currency do you guys booking in?
No. So it depends. If you can able to change your, let me shut up.
Your location. You're gonna say your location. Yeah. No, it's like, for example, I'm going Nigeria.
Daniel, is that legal?
I think it is.
Okay.
No, it's legal. It's legal.
As long as we're giving legal advice, and that's fine.
Nah, it's just, let's say, for example, I'm going to Nigeria next week. Yeah. They know when on my laptop I connect through the VPN and all that network stuff. It's gonna know I'm in Nigeria, and people from Nigeria will get cheaper flights because obviously the cost of living there. They want to make it affordable for people that live there. So me logging on, I can book some flights there. They'll think I'm traveling, and I can, get the cheaper prices.
What you're saying is, are you saying change the location?
So there's two ways: is location or currency. Yeah? Sometimes you find currency. So let's say if I use pounds or whatever, I can go and book maybe dollars, maybe change it to dollars or something like that, and I find out that the conversion rate it's cheaper for me when I convert it.
But Pete, we found that, remember when we went to Japan? So we'll go to Japan to see and stay with Joelle. I was going from London directly to Japan,
What a trip.
and
What a trip.
and my flight was showing at around I think £800 from London to Japan. Pab was flying from Switzerland to London to Japan. So on the London to Japan, it was the same leg. Then on the way back, he was flying from Japan to London back to Switzerland. But Pab's flight was coming at around 600, and mine was 800 for less flights. So I thought, no,
Yeah,
this is a bump.
But that's not location. That's the difference between
it's not
direct
location.
and
Yeah,
it's the difference between direct and connection flights. So connection flights, which is kind of weird, if you have a stop off when you're flying, it's actually cheaper than doing direct flights.
Yeah, but the thing about it is,
so what I did-
go ahead.
You know, so what I did is I booked the flight with my Avios to Switzerland for £20.
Oh yeah, I remember.
I was saving £200. So I just booked the flight from London to Switzerland for £20 in business, return, one way, and then from Switzerland to London to Japan for 600. So I got my money.
Guys, if there's one tip I can share, that is my number one tip, is when it comes to traveling, just do it, just like the way Nike says it, because Daniel's a role model for this. And yes, obviously there's it comes with a particular cost, but the learnings and experiences that come out of traveling and just sort of moving around freely is just invaluable. So with that particular case, I remember, it's funny because I said, Daniel, why would you do that? Just travel from, I'll meet you in London and we go from there. And Dan was like, nah, I want to do my thing. I want to move around. So I remember I flew in from Denmark the night before. Then Daniel flew from London to Basel. He even told his colleagues at work, he says, yeah, I'm going Basel for a quick night. You know what I mean? I'm going Basel for a quick night. And then next morning I'm going to fly back to London. And then we flew from Basel to London together and then London to Japan. So, I've had some may listen to this think, oh, that doesn't make any sense. It's just all part of the experience, baby.
And it's part of the game. It's part of the game. Like I was saying, like sometimes connection flights can be a lot cheaper. So there's certain times when I've only got hand luggage. Only do this if you got hand luggage. Don't do this if you check in luggage. Yeah. But there's sometimes where I might fly. Let's say, for example, I'm going to, let's say London. Yeah. But I get a flight from the US to Nigeria. So it goes US to London, stops off, and then you get off at London to go to Nigeria. Yeah. What I could do is take just the first leg of the flight and go. Forget about the second one, because it's a lot cheaper for me to go to Nigeria with a stop off in London than actually. So sometimes I just do that, and but only do it with hand luggage.
Wait, quick disclaimer.
But also, don't try and think you can. If you're doing US to London to Nigeria, don't think you can get out London, because they will see that you haven't shown up for the flight.
Exactly. Yeah.
So don't do it if it's the first stop and you can get off, but don't try and join a flight.
You can't. I almost made that mistake of trying to join a flight, and they were like, nah.
So, I think last time I had Basel, London, LA. So let's say, for example, this flight was on a Saturday, and then there was a family event that was taking place on the Wednesday. So I said, okay, Lauren, let's fly on Wednesday, and I'll just take my flight on Saturday to LA. And I was literally ready to go. I think I even booked my flights, and then I just checked. I said, hang on, Shuo, if I just skip the Basel leg, can I still roll? He says, nah. And so I would have been devastated to have got to the airport and said, yo, I'm off to LA. No, you're not.
You know what's so funny about that? I made a silly mistake because I was looking for a budget flight, and I was trying to go from Thailand back to Budapest, but it stopped off in India. Yeah, it was Thailand to India, and then India to Budapest. Yeah. Because it was just one of these budget airlines, I just booked everything. I didn't check the visa requirements. So, do you man them know you need a visa to go to India?
You need
I've never been. India.
So I didn't book any visa because I was like, I'm not even getting off the plane. I'm going to Budapest. I'm good to be in Budapest, yeah?
I'm not getting off the plane.
Sorry, I mean, like, I'm not going into the country. I'm changing plane. But the thing is, if you change airlines, yeah, you basically need to go in the country and then come back out if you change airlines. If you're on the same airline, it's fine. But if you change airline provider. So I was in Thailand, about to check in. And they're like, can we see your visa for India? I was like, what are you talking about? I don't need it, man. I don't need a visa. I'm going to Budapest. They're like, nah, you need a... I had to book another flight on the spot, which became even more expensive just because I didn't read what the visa requirements were. But before we just wrap up and finish off, one thing I want to understand from you guys, because I know a lot of you guys have traveled by yourself. and I think a lot of listeners sometimes are afraid to travel by themselves. How do you guys ensure that you're safe when you're abroad? Because safety is a big thing and a deterrent when people are traveling. So how do you guys make sure that you're street smart and stay safe?
There's two things here. One is the entire trip. So you're traveling by yourself and also exploring the city by yourself?
Yes.
Or do you mean
both.
just traveling?
Yeah. No, traveling. I'll say traveling and also in the city by yourself, because I think it covers the second one when you're traveling by yourself as well. So if you travel and you travel alone, how do you guys ensure that you stay safe? Because I think that's a big area when it comes to traveling.
Oh, well, I'm only going to share this because I went to travel and safety thing at work, because a lot of people travel, so they want to ensure our safety.
I thought Daniel was going to say, you're going to share a story about how you got robbed abroad or something like that. I thought it was going to get deep.
No, but I was told that this person had been in the army for years, worked in the police, or proper guy.
I had the same pitch from the security, right?
So obviously take this with a pinch of salt, adapt to what's relevant to you. But when you're going away, even traveling, when you're at the airport, the safest part is airside, so going through security. So do what you need to do, landside, get through check-in, and get to the other side quickly. That's just general safety. But when you're traveling and you're away in accommodation, mix up your routine. Don't keep to the same routine. Don't leave, like, for example, work. You might have to start work at a certain time. Don't leave the same time. Go through different ways, take different exits. But if you're on holiday, just mix up the routine. Change your breakfast routine, change the way you go, just change what you do. Don't be so loud.
Mr. Liam Nielsen, boy. It's not taken for.
Yeah, no. Just mix up the routine. Don't be overly loud to say, yeah, I'm here on holiday, I'm here with this person, I'm staying here. Or even when you're in public, don't be so loud to say where you're staying, because opportunities are always around. Don't have bum bags. That screams out tourists. Pack extra debit or credit card. Have photocopies.
I don't want to scare.
No, you're not. It's not. This isn't to scare. It's just to be aware, vigilant. Even to have copies of your passport or documents. Just have that. Also have travel insurance, because you just need travel insurance. And when you go out, take out what you need. If you want to get real scary, this guy was talking about having a throwdown wallet. So if you do get approached or want to get robbed, have a wallet with some old expired cards. A bit of like £5-10. So someone says, "Where's your wallet?" You just give it to them. By the time they run off, they're not going to realize that.
That's like back in the day when you used to put your money in your socks, P. Remember when you were afraid to get robbed?
What are you talking about?
Where you used to put.
I had my white cute. Shut up. I had my white socks. My grandma will give me about £10-15 when I see her. Just slide it in my socks and just dip.
In case you say, "What you got for me? What you got for me?"
And I'll be wearing my slippers and my shorts, talking about
But also try and stay in a group as much as possible if you can.
And text people. Let people know where you. Let people know where you are. I think the only thing is also text people. Let people know where you are. Like people in abroad and stuff like that. Oh, because there was one time I was going out with a group of people that I didn't really know, and I texted one of my friends and I was like, "Yo."
You're dodgy people.
I was like, if I don't message you at so time tonight, send a rescue team for me, because but it's just let people know as you're traveling around. Text your family and friends.
The one thing I wanted just to touch on before we wrap up was, we spoke about flights, but I know people also we've been advantageous of being able to stay with people that are in a country. But if you want to book accommodation, which we've done also, how would you go about doing it? He mentioned earlier booking.com, but I know Sherelle was big advocate.
Booking.com, and the more you use that as well, they give you additional discounts. So now I qualify for genius discounts. Repping booking.com, and it gives you great deals, great options as well. And similar, Airbnb is something that I've only started using properly the last 6 months, and the more you use, the more discounts you get as well.
So I like Airbnb if I'm going with a group of people. So if I'm going with a big group of people, you can get a nice house or apartment with Airbnb. So a lot of times I travel with Airbnb.
P, like that one in Amsterdam that Ollie got.
Which one in Amsterdam?
Remember, P and I got the hotel. We got that hotel, and then remember where Ollie was staying?
What was I saying in Amsterdam?
Yeah, I was trying to think Amsterdam.
I can't remember what I was saying.
Dirty place,
with the bunk beds.
Amsterdam. Forget the red light district. It's just dirty, man. I hate Amsterdam.
Remember the bunk beds that Ollie was staying?
The bunk beds.
No, that was not my room. That was Daniel. What are you talking about? Yeah,
But the thing is,
they were staying in a hostel. They were staying in a hostel that time.
Yeah, when I went in there, I was like, what kind of operation is this?
No. So
What is going on?
the way Daniel's trying to put something on me, I'm like, wait, what is that?
No, sorry. So
I feel like asking Daniel. I said, "Yo, guys, do you live here or are you staying there? What's going on?"
No, that's actually a good alternative because they were paying cheap amount for it, so they were staying in a hostel.
The thing about
They were staying in a hostel
as well. So you got to find a balance between spending. You can't if
no, it's different ages. Like they're not gonna obviously stay in a hostel at this age. Yeah, we're talking about 5 years ago. You know, like 5-10 years ago. So it was like
Amsterdam was like a couple years ago. Come on.
It was November 2015, man.
No, but I think, to be honest, I think we've got a lot of stories to share and a lot more tips. Maybe we should consider doing a follow-up, another episode.
But yeah, I was just gonna say I usually just lock in on the flights, and I use Booking.com maybe through cancellation, but the accommodation is usually second for me. It's the flights that'll be the first on the priority list. But yeah, so let me share with you the tip I was gonna share.
I want to share the turbulent story, but we can do that.
Oh my god, that is funny.
We could the listeners can wait to the next episode for that one. If we do a part 2.
That's a story. But yeah, so my tip was gonna be, it's for traveling. You can do a premium subscription or a free subscription, and it's called Jack's Flight Club. I don't know if you've heard of it. Flight Club. It's on Instagram. He's got a website, and he doesn't take any money. I'm not getting paid for this.
You sure you ain't got no equity in this company, Daniel? No, it's one of those investments that you made.
No, but this is a really no. This is a really good resource. What he does is, if you've got a free membership, he will send you maybe weekly or every couple of days some really cheap flights, the location, the time period, how to book. And you don't book through him, you maybe book through Google Flights or Skyscanner. So he gives you a step-by-step on how to book. And, or if you've got a premium one, he sends you maybe every other day some really good flights. You can going to like Bali for £200 return. These are with good good airlines, like Virgin, BA. He'll always tell you the airline that you're booking with. He'll give you what the normal rate would be with that time period, and plus what you'll be paying for this, whether it includes checked baggage. But I saw some to Japan 300, Bali 200, Canada, Toronto was like 300.
Guys, are you hearing this? Listeners, are you hearing what's going on?
Don't pay for this. You can get a free subscription, see how it works. And if you like, pay for the premium, which I think is £30 for the year. And I'm telling you, you can have the next year of travel booked up nicely. JacksFlight.com.
So we've got a Take Flight podcast challenge, which is with all the tips that we've shared today, especially this one, Jack Flight's club. Log in, subscribe, and start booking, and then just tag us and let us know where you're heading to next.
Yeah.
And what would be actually sick is if we somehow, some way down this year or even next year, meet up with one of our listeners.
Trust me, Jack's Flight Club, trust me, it's a game changer. Game changer. And if also you're looking to see where you've been or countries that you haven't been to, Olu shared with me this app. It's an app called Bean. So Bean, Been, Bravo, Echo, November. And it's almost like a scratch map, but it's just on your phone, and you can just click on the country you've been to. It tells you how much percentage you've been of a continent and how much percentage of the world you've been to. So if you're looking to, say, you're thinking about what country to visit, you can always just scroll down to see what countries you haven't been to.
Yeah.
It's a way to keep track. But yeah, we hope you found this part quite interesting and useful. We definitely do. I think we should have a part 2 to talk about that turbulent story.
No, thanks. And once we release the episode as well, I'll post on Instagram the picture of Daniel in that turbulent moment.
The thing about it is that picture you're referring to was not actually the turbulence. It was on the way to Hong Kong. The face that we're referring to, we didn't capture. It was too much.
That's true.
Anyways, let's.
So for the listeners, literally take flight. No pun intended.
Take flight.
Okay, so I'm going to share with you a book that I actually bought on when I was away in Atlanta, come back from Atlanta to London, and I was just walking through the airport terminal, and I thought, I want to buy a book, I want something to read. And so I went into the bookstore, and I was just looking. I didn't want a self-help book. I don't read fiction. That's not my my forte. So I was just looking through, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm still young, but I was thinking about longer term. So I came across this book that just grabbed my attention, and it was called 52 Things Sons Need from Their Dads, by J. Payleitner. And
let me sit up for this, boy.
it just stood out to me. I thought,
Straighten out my back.
I was.
This
I'm
is
not.
about to get serious.
I wasn't in a relationship. I wasn't. Yeah, obviously I was in a relationship. I wasn't married.
You didn't have any kids.
No children. So I was thinking, okay, what can I learn from this? So I just read the back of the book, the blurb, and it just intrigued me. So I thought, let me buy it. And even when I've opened the book, you can see I bought it on September the 11th at September 11th, 2014, Atlanta Airport, going to London Heathrow. And this book is quite simple. It's 52 things. So if you wanted to read one every week and just ponder that for 1 year, that's good enough. But they're very short chapters. And how each chapter starts, it's just a need. It starts with a son needs his dad, then some ellipses, an ellipse, so ... and then it just gives a simple sentence, and it talks about that briefly. And every chapter or every need ends with a takeaway. So, for example, this one says, a son needs his dad to know he is not a clone. And the takeaway in that was, if your son lives your life, what has he achieved? And it just goes on to is that sort of narrative. And I really, really like this book because they're very simple things that you've thought of or haven't thought of, that you think, because of your experiences and because of your life, you think, when I have a son or have a child, I want them to be like this. I want them to be like that. Even we spoke about in the last episode about networking, and Sherelle was talking about the group of friends that his parents were sometimes receptive for him to be around or not. It plays a key part in just thinking about longer term and just thinking about what a son needs from you. And I remember reading this book, and it really touched me because it made me think about my relationship with my dad. And I have a good relationship with my dad, but it touched me to think that there are many things that we can appreciate from our parents, our mum or dad, but we don't necessarily say to them. And it was touching. It's just I don't want to get emotional in the episode right now, but it touched me a lot. It touched me a lot. And whilst we have our parents around, if they're still around, we really need to value them. And even a quote that I read is, as we get older, we often forget that our parents are getting older too.
Yeah.
So we really need to value the time. But yeah, fire away. What do you guys want to know?
No, I totally agree with you, Daniel. I think you sometimes forget that your parents are getting older. And I would ask you guys even the question, how much time do you spend trying to understand and gain the knowledge that they have, or just understand where they come from? Because I think so many times we only know them as our parents, but they had a whole life prior to us being born.
Yeah.
So when my brothers were at uni, because I'm the youngest, that's when I was in college, I spent more time with my mum, just sitting in the kitchen while she was cooking, just trying to just download, okay, what did you used to do prior to you coming to London? Okay, what was fun for you? What did you... And I think those aspects is stuff that you should always try and do whilst they're still here, because unfortunately we're getting old, so they're getting old as well. And a lot of time, your name and your legacy only lives based on people that you speak to and then passing that message on to them. So yeah. Now this is a touching subject, man.
No, I can't speak highly of this book enough. It's just, I think I'm gonna have to read it again, not because I'm expecting or anything, but it's a book that I think you can always draw something from, and it's just nice to always just not be ready, but just thinking longer term. And we spoke of, just think long term. So, Shabal, you're going to say something?
No, I was just going to say, I think what we were talking about we forget sometimes that our parents are getting older. So I think the biggest kind of shock to that system for me was my dad. He had a stroke about coming up to 2 years ago now. And this was while I was in Japan. So I was in Japan. I got that phone call from my mum saying, oh, your dad's in hospital. She was crying down the phone. And it's in those moments you realize, like, you start thinking about all those moments that you've had with your parents when you were growing up. And then to have that suddenly flash in front of your face of those moments never happening again, it helps prioritize where and what you need to spend your time doing. And I was very fortunate that my dad, he was able to pull through. He spent nearly 3 months in intensive care, and it was very touch and go at some moments. But after that, it really brought home to me the reality that your parents aren't really going to be around forever. So even if you have a good relationship or bad relationship, whatever relationship you have, without them, you wouldn't be here. So try and spend that time wisely. And since then, it's given me that kick to come back to Europe, be closer to them. While I'm back here, try and help them more, spend more time with them. I'm actually going to Bangladesh with them next week as well. So all of these things I probably would have done anyway, but then going through that moment of potentially losing my dad kind of gives you that kick that you need. And I was very lucky to get a second chance because not a lot of people get that either. So
yeah, that's really
your dad's a warrior anyway, so he was always going to pull through 100%.
Yeah, legend.
Yeah, no, this is a powerful and meaningful discussion. The only thing I'll add on my side is I've always believed that our time is limited, and so what I've loved about the relationship with my mother in particular, and also my dad, is that in the beginning it was very much them guiding us and telling us what we needed to do. So you didn't really have the permission to ask questions about what was your life like and how did you grow up and how can I learn from what you did and perhaps do things differently or the same, or what can I take on. But I think as we've got older, I've really tried to sort of close that gap and work with my mum as a best friend. So if you see me and my mum talk and we message, we're on Facebook, we talk slang to each other. I mean, it's literally like two best friends, you know. And sometimes, and Lauren's even told me, sometimes I'm too much. Sometimes I need to reel it in a bit because I'm a little bit.
Before you get a backhand.
Before you get a backhand, but it's just what I'm trying to get to is a space whereby we are super close. And I've gone to deep waters and having beautiful discussions with my mother about what it was like growing up. Because one of the things also, and everybody can resonate with this, is it's really important that we understand the sacrifices that they made, the challenges and the struggles that they went through, right? Because I believe they all struggled very well, and we have to really internalize what they went through. And I'm talking about not just key moments that you realize, Mum, what was it like on a day-to-day basis? What did you do? What did you give up? What did you make sure you were gonna? And you'll be stunned by some of the things that your mum tells you. And so it's a lot of what drives me. It's a lot of what, and it makes a big difference to your own purpose and what you're actually trying to do. So I think my recommendation would be to, because it's not always easy, but to ask your mum and your father those questions that even when they're on the tip of your tongue, you're nervous to ask because you almost feel like, oh, am I still being respectful by asking these questions? But they open up a new form of relationship, and I think
100%.
you as a son, and also it's also something I can also share with my younger brothers as well, because they're not old enough to ask that question. Or let's say, for example, if Minkala was to ask the question, my mum would be like, she wouldn't answer him in a similar fashion. So it's also, you have to reach a certain stage where you have the permission to say, Mum, what was it like back then? And what do you think? And so, no, I love it. And what I love now, and I'm sure you guys can also agree, is that I very much have owned the leadership position or taken a position to help advise my mum and my father what they should do next over the next 15, 20 years. I say to them, the next 20 years are going to be the best 20 years of your life. We have to just, adopt a new mindset and look at different ways. So it's, I love it. And but yeah, it's really, I think for Black and brown communities, you got to break that gap of we always used to being told what to do to now turning it into, let's have an open forum discussion. Whatever's on my mind, I want to ask you and we want to talk about.
Yeah, I think that's
so what are some of the concepts they mention in the book, Daniel? What are some of the advice or stuff that they tell you to do? Or
so
is it more,
it gives like examples, or not examples, but it gives you ideas or gives you tips. For example, let me give an analogy. When would you, if you see your son making a mistake, would you step in or allow him to make that mistake? Because ultimately you can only guide your son or your children through doors or help them open doors, but you can't make them walk through it. So they either do it or they don't. So I think a lot of parents can be forceful on their children, especially when it comes to education, that you must do this, you must do that. You can advise, give tips, give guidance, but ultimately let that decision be theirs. And I think sometimes it can be detrimental if you handhold your children too much, as in you don't let them make mistakes themselves, because it's in the mistakes you learn and you grow. Of course, you can identify things that are going to be completely detrimental to them and possibly destroy them, and that's where you step in. But if it's going to be a mistake where they can learn from, you need to let that happen. It can be hard. I'm not a parent, but I'm sure it can be hard to see someone you love dearly make a mistake and think, okay, this is what the outcome could be, but also it may not be. It gives.
It's interesting. So would your mother agree with that? Because my mother would say, listen, wherever you go, growing up, I'm going.
No, but as I can say that because even in life, like I've made mistakes and I've had frank conversations with my dad about things, and he would say, okay, what did you learn from that? So when I talk to my dad, he's very much an understanding parent, but also he challenges your thinking. Okay, so you went through that. How did it make you feel? What did you learn from that? If you're to do it again, or if you be faced with that challenge, what did you learn? And that's how, how you're saying about where your parents share experiences with you. My dad's very much open and sharing experiences with me if he thinks it can help me. And he's not he's not going to not share anything anyway. But if I was to ask, he would share. And there was a particular story. I remember sitting down with my dad, and he told me a story about how he had done a project, and he was, I want to be honest, he was owed money for the work, and essentially he didn't get paid for it. And I was thinking in my head, like when I heard the amount, I was like, I would be angry. I would be very angry. But he said to me, well, what would being angry do? It wouldn't solve anything. But it's about choosing the battles and fighting the battles. But also, ultimately, you can't control how others feel, but you can control how you feel. So if that anger gets inside you, it's going to eat you up. But he just thought, okay, this is something I've learned. I move on and I look into other opportunities. And for me, I don't know if I could be at a stage where I could do that at that time. But it just helps you think from people's perspective, a different opinion, and really does challenge me, even the way I react or respond to certain situations or challenges in life. I almost think, okay, I have a choice to either respond and react like this or respond and react like that.
Do you know what I find so amazing is that even with what we've achieved in our life so far and our resources and the people that we hang around with, our network, there's still so much to learn. And it's like a lot of times I say, look, a lot of what we're doing now is an advancement from what our parents. So we're taking off from where our parents left off, right? And so sometimes you start to think, well, I'm doing very well and I'm kind of like showcasing for the family, but it's like when you really dig into our parents' experiences, you realize there's so much more to learn. There's so much more space to grow. So,
and just lastly, adding on Olu, what other things it shares, it just talks about spending time with your son. Taking interest in what they enjoy, just doing activities with them, just you and just father and son time, and just allowing that bond to grow, to be organic, and just to be a nice friendship. Of course, you're their parent, and of course, they need to respect you.
So what? I just want to add it because this is a conversation I've had with my mom a number of times because she challenges me on sometimes my ambition and where sometimes the risks of wanting too much, right? So there's pros and cons to it. So what she says to me, she said this time and time again. She says to me, and it's the point you just mentioned. The only thing that your child will need is your time.
Yeah.
Like I understand what you're trying to do in terms of build an empire, and it's important to have a personal economy and build that, but always keep in mind, Pabilo, that the only thing they want from you is your time. So they want you even if it's a walk in the park, they just want to be able to speak to you, express their feelings and opinions. So think twice about running around the world and trying to build a number of things and convincing yourself it's for them when actually they just wanted your time. So
yeah, I think that's key because even when I say my wife wants to talk to me, you can be there but not present in the moment, so your attention is divided. But when I speak to my dad, like he can be in a meeting, he can be at a speaking engagement or doing something, and I'll pick up my call. No matter where he is, he'll step out the room, he'll pick up my call, and if I need his time, he'll give me his time there and then. And even I think it was last year, I wanted to talk to him about a pressing issue. And he said, okay, can it wait a week? He said, I'll be coming to London then. And then we spoke. He came and we spoke in London. He'd always give me his undivided attention, his time. And the thing is, he's not always there. He wouldn't always just give me advice. He'll just sit back and just listen and let me talk and then he'll seek understanding first before he says anything. And that's something I really value about my dad, is that he would always give me his time. He wouldn't, he's, you know, non-judgmental. And it's not everything that I say that I necessarily agree with that he would say. Sometimes it hurts and it's the truth. But it's just having someone there that's present. And for those who might not have a father present in their life, I'm sure there's someone who you could see as a father figure or an older person you can confide in and give you that time.
Yeah.
Because I appreciate not every father has an active role, but that's okay. There is someone out there that you can speak to. And even we spoke about mentoring in a few episodes back. Sometimes you can have a great mentor-mentee relationship that you can also see them as a father figure and can help guide you and give you advice. So yeah, that's how I like to make my closing remarks.
Okay, perfect.
Nope.
So Daniel, do you want to repeat the title and author of the book again?
Yeah, so the book is called 52 Things Sons Need from Their Dads, and the author is Payleitner. I'm probably butchering the name, but it's Jay,
You know the
and
coffee.
surname. I know. I need another one. Payleitner. It's Payleitner. That's Payleitner, and it's 52 things sons need from their dads.
And Daniel, if anyone tags us in Instagram during this week's episode, you buy them a copy, right? I don't know. We might be a couple of orders behind. I don't know how you guys are doing.
I think I owe someone else a book. Yeah.
So
If you're listening to this and you know you're the person that I owe a book, please DM me so I can get you get the book and send it to either an Amazon locker so you can pick it up or whatever it may be, or to your address. And I don't want to be owing you for too long. But yeah, if you tag,
Do I owe money? Do I owe books?
Yeah, you need to get a book. I'm gonna put it on blast right now. You owe a book to Omari. So Omari, if you're listening to this, hit Pabilo up and be like, "Where's my book, bro?"
Oh, no problem. Amari, I got you.
Alright, cool.
In fact, I got you. You got more than one book. Come on, man. You already know. Come on, Amari.
If you want a book, just DM P. He'll give everyone books.
I'll give you the top 23 from the 52 last year. Trust me. I think someone else also wanted the top.
Someone wanted
top
you
10.
to say the list. Maybe in the next episode you can say
Alright, cool.
the list
I will
of
do.
yeah.
I will do. No problem.
But yeah, I'll gladly buy this book for whoever tag shares it wants to know more. So yeah, but thank you very much. We hope this episode will encourage you to take flight, literally in an aeroplane if you haven't already, or thinking about booking flights. Share any bookings you have, tag us. We'll be excited to know where you'll be going next, or maybe we can even share some of places we'll be going to this year. And yeah, if you have any questions, comments, feedback, feel free to contact us on Instagram at Take Flight Podcast. And if you don't have Instagram but would like to contact us, our email address never changes. It's takeflightpodcast@gmail.com. So I must say, actually, I did get an email in that email address, but it was just spam.
Don't worry.
I just have 3 words from my side before we close.
Go on.
Hats coming soon.
Yeah, merch.
Boom.
Merch is coming soon.
All money in, no money out. But thank you.
Money in,
We'll
no
catch
money
you next
out.
week on Take Flight Podcast. Stay well. God bless.
Peace.
Take off, take